Welcome to Awakening Cosmic Souls podcast, Season 2.
Where spiritual practitioners share their perspectives and practices, shaping New Earth living.
Not doing, just being.
Welcome to Awakening Cosmic Souls, another episode where myself and Angela are going to be interviewing a very, very special person. This person I've known for some years, and we've actually done a retreat together and done other workshops together, and she is just a phenomenal person to be on the show to share information. She does something called Ancestral constellations, and along with that, combined with understanding ancient medicines and of the Andes, she brings a wealth of knowledge and information. She has a lot of things going on with women's groups and helping them to come into their own power and self-mastery. And I love self-mastery. The constellations, I'm going to let her explain that to you, and she's going to talk about a little bit about herself. But Angel, why don't you just open up and tell us some things, but what you got going on, what's coming up soon?
I am getting ready to launch our Karmic Alchemy course, and I am going to start doing readings.
All right. You just recently got back from Delphi University and got some really good experience tapping into your own natural gifts. And that's something that we all want people to understand, because we're awakening cosmic souls. Our souls are always awakening. We're always in a place of enrichment. We're always in a place of enlightenment.
Yeah. And it's something that I already felt like I knew and was gifted in. It was just another way that confirmed my knowing. And it's a beautiful gift that we all have. And some of us are and can tap into it and use it as a tool to help ourselves and to help others. So I'm looking forward to being able to share that. And rolling out my school platform with my courses, I will tell everyone when it's launching, and I'll have more videos coming out explaining that.
Thank you, Angel, for telling us what you got going on. Now, Ariana, let us know about what you got going on.
Well, thank you so much for having me, for both of you. It's just been so beautiful to be able to bring kind of this dream to reality, just having gone to Peru many times and we just kind of kept missing each other. Yes. To finally being able to make it happen together was just such a dream come true. So it was just such a beautiful experience. And I'm just so thankful to being here and being able to share our experiences together and kind of share a little bit about myself and my work. Where would you like me to start with that?
Well, tell us if you have anything coming up. I know that I saw recently on social media that you have a retreat coming up.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
A lot of my focus recently has been on doing women's retreats, hosting retreat experiences. For years, I was hosting women's ceremonies. I was doing them almost bi-weekly. But there's something really special about being able to bring a group together for a retreat that actually can last like 3 to 5 days. It just allows for a deeper healing and transformative experience to be able to unfold. So I do have in August a retreat coming up on August 8th, and it's a women's retreat focused on ancestral constellations and opening up your Akashic records, which I'll definitely go into more deeper depth of what ancestral constellations, the work is. And I have a Spain retreat coming up in September where we'll be going to Mallorca and also the south of France, which I'm very excited with. That we'll get to explore like the Mary Magdalene's caves, where she spent like her last 30 years of her life. So it's a place that I've been really wanting to go for many years. So it's finally happening this year. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome. I love it. I love what you're doing with the women's circles and the women's retreats.
So needed.
Is definitely needed. And that's something I'm actually tapping into now, is actually moving more into men's circles, men's retreats, and letting people understand how to tap into the masculine divine, which is kind of confused right now.
Yeah.
Masculine energy in some areas, but I would say masses wise, there's confusion about what masculine divinity is. And listening to all of the women's circles and seeing the women's circles inspire me. And then looking at men and seeing that men need a safe place to actually talk and express what they got to express.
Yeah, I think it gives them a very different level of experience, like sitting in a women's circle with women and then being able to like do that with other men.
Right.
I think it makes them a much stronger men, you know, to be able to do that. And I think men definitely need more men in their life. Good men, yeah. That can be a good example.
All right, everyone. So today we want to dive in and have a full conversation about some things that everyone is talking about and they may not fully understand, but we want to know some questions like, are plants conscious? How do sacred medicines support your healing journey? Why is integrating so important, and what role do our ancestors play in our healing journey? And today we're going to really dive deep in and talk with Ariana about that, because that is a part of something that she does, and it's a gift that she has with helping you learn and to know and to grow. And a lot of that it plays a part in our life.
Cool. So on that note, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what got you into this journey.
Well, really, when I go back, what really initiated me into this journey was separation and trauma. You know, it was when the moment that I had to split with my parents. They went back to Spain to kind of retire, and just things that were moving, that I had to question my identity. It's like my identity became falling apart because I saw myself being alone without my family. And I started to question how I was living my life. Was I living my life for me, in my terms, or was I living my life for still their approval, their validation? And I figured that I was doing all these things for their approval, and I really did not know myself, and I was not living my own life in my own terms. So when they left, it kind of brought me into a whole initiating my journey, which also meant everything falling apart and kind of that dark night of the soul, which is like one of many, but that was one of the biggest ones, where I had to begin letting go of everything that I thought that I was, to be able to step more into really who is Ariana, you know, and that was kind of like around 2017, 2018 that I began studying and learning to tap into my intuition, and then many things, you know. I think that was one of the big moments. And then another big moment was at my grandmother's passing. And that's really what initiated me into ceremonial work, plant medicine work, and then coming back into Peru. I was born in Spain, but both of my parents are Peruvian. My family descent is Peruvian. But growing up in Spain, I had kind of forgotten that was like a part of my history and my lineage, you know. And in many ways, I had even rejected that part of my lineage. I had truly forgotten it. And I think that happens a lot in kind of Hispanic culture, especially if you have more mixes, like you have European lineages. Sometimes it's almost like looked better upon to focus on the European lineage than in like your indigenous descent. And when my grandmother passed away, and that was really hard because I didn't get to be there for her passing, like maybe a month or 2 months after her passing, her spirit came to me. Like I was just in my apartment room and go do my meditation, and I just felt her energy come in. And before then, I had never thought of the idea of doing retreats or ceremony work. And she really gave me that message. Her first message to me was, go back to Cusco. And I didn't even know in this moment that my grandparents were from Cusco. So I tell my mom afterwards, like, grandmother came in and told me we have to go back to Cusco. And she was like, well, of course, like she was from there. And I was like, how has this never been talked about? You know, and I think so much in family, so many things that go unsaid, you know, because we see them, maybe they see them as like not very important. But that was a very important and crucial part of then returning back to Peru. And then I've been returning back ever since. So that was like 4 years ago. And that's been amazing because every year I have brought my family back, you know, so I've kind of forced that upon them. But
I don't know if it's forced,
but
I think you just kind of coerced them.
It just kind of happened.
And they were supposed to come back with you for
They were supposed to.
Right.
Yeah, we were supposed to go back because we had forgotten where we come from. And I think so much of that, especially like here in the US, so many of us are immigrants, you know, and so often we forget where we come from. And because of that, we also become unsure of who we are. So we all come from indigenous people. We all have roots that we can tap into. And with that, there is this medicine that when you tap into your indigenous roots, there's a specific medicine that is there for you, that is just there for you to remember it.
Yes.
And it's not even something that you look upon. It's just something that comes in, and slowly but surely you begin to remember those pieces.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like it's important for us to not be ashamed to remember our roots. Like our ancestors they're waiting for us to connect with them. Like they have so much wisdom, so much to share with us, but it's like we're just so distracted that we just ignore them or don't even think about them. You know, they're not even in our thought of tapping into to even think about what they could have to offer us, because we're just taught that they're gone.
Exactly. Yeah. Which kind of like leads me into the ancestral constellations and the work that I do with that, because I too, when I first began my journey, and I've done therapy work and I've done many kind of therapy modalities. I was going into therapy when I was quite little, you know, with heart situations. And the thing that I feel therapy is really missing upon is that it focuses on the individual and not on the entire system, right? Where ancestral work is more of a holistic practice where you're looking at the whole as a part of something bigger, right? And to be able to understand ancestral constellations, we have to remember that when we come into this realm, we already are stepping into a field of information that is already there for us. And it's a field of information that we've chosen, you know, that is there for us, you know, for our growth and our development and what we're here for. So we're not free until we can become conscious of these unconscious patterns. Right? So if you're truly wanting to get to the root cause of things, we have to look at the bigger picture. Which most of the things that are happening in our life are repetition. Right? They're repetitive cycles of things that have happened not to us, but to our parents, to our grandparents, great-grandparents. Illnesses that continue to repeat themselves because maybe in the family system, everyone gets diabetes, you know, or everyone gets lymphoma or cancer. And then it's kind of ingrained in the memory, in the cellular memory. So it just keeps repeating itself. And ancestral work allows us to be able to tap into the bigger picture, that we are part of a whole, you know. And I think sometimes we have forgotten that. We think we're just this individual, and my ideas are my ideas and my thoughts are my thoughts, but it's not true. You know, just the way that we physically as like look alike, maybe like our mother or our father or a grandfather, we also share their values, their beliefs, their ways of being, their ways of thinking, and all of it. Right?
For sure. Yeah, that's very interesting, because when we look at the family constellations, and we've done one here, and it was just interesting, and I've seen you do them, and it's very, very interesting how people assume the roles of the ancestors that they're supposed to actually assume, so they can get the answers that they need to get. So they can get the answers that they need to get. Question for you: where did that system come from?
Yes. So really the founder of Constellation, the father of Constellation, is Bert Hellinger. And he was a psychiatrist, but before then, it's like he had many lives, because he actually was a soldier for many years. He served in the Germany War and in the Germany Army. And then he was a missionary, he was a priest. And he actually spent 16 years in South of Africa working with the Zulu tribe. And after that, I feel like that was a big like that really initiated him into kind of understanding what I just spoke about, that when you're looking at healing, you have to focus on the bigger picture. And in the Zulu tribe, a lot of their work was based on ancestral work, and knowing that when someone passed away, they're not just gone. Like their energy still lives through each person. So he got to kind of explore how they still had that deep connection with their ancestry. And then he was able to kind of bring that back and and create really what constellation, which is like a healing modality that really helps us to bring the invisible into the visible. Kind of like what you said. It's like, it's almost like bringing your subconscious and bringing it out to life through live representation, right? It's like you're bringing these people that don't know anything about you. And actually, the less they know, the better. And you get to choose them to be representatives for a certain topic that you're working on. And through what we know as the morphic genetic field, they start to tap into certain memories, certain experiences, sensations in the body that allow the person to be able to see what's really going on underneath the surface. And it happens a lot where what for me, constellation work really helps with deepening integration, because I have so many clients that I work with that maybe, you know, never even knew their father. So they're like, how am I going to do a constellation if I know nothing about this man, know nothing about his family? But again, it doesn't matter, because you are alive because he exists, right? So all those, again, that field of information that I was speaking about earlier, it's always there, right? And it's constantly informing us, whether we lived with the person or we did not. His experiences and his family system, you know, of mom and dad are informing our system, whether we lived with them or we didn't. And oftentimes when we did not live with them, they can sometimes inform us even more, because it often becomes a thing that becomes kind of excluded and not talked about in the family. And what we know through systemic work is that everything that is an exclusion needs to come back into integration. So anything that's been excluded, the system is going to try to bring it back. Right? So it's going to try to bring it back by maybe you had a father who was an alcoholic. So in order for you to be able to heal this, you might meet a partner who's an alcoholic, right? Or you had an abusive father and you tend to go into relationships that are abusive. Why is it showing that up? It's because it's trying to show up something that's been pushed away, something that's been cast out, so you can integrate it, you know, so you can come back into wholeness. So I love that aspect of ancestor work, which I feel also around plant medicine, is that it's a way to bring more integration, to look at the aspects of ourselves that maybe we've cast out, we pushed away, people, emotions, situations, and be able to now, as your adult, be able to come back and be able to witness it and make a different choice. You know, I do believe that plant medicine helps us to it kind of, for me, especially the medicine of Wachuma, helps to open up the heart in a way that it helps to expand our ability to be able to then go into a constellation and be able to have deeper compassion, deeper understanding, a more capacity to be able to integrate these aspects that sometimes can be hard, you know, are often hard.
Indeed. And a little bit about Wachuma. Wachuma is a cactus, right? And it would be considered a masculine energy.
A masculine and grandfather energy.
Grandfather energy. And it is a heart opener. So for those who need healing, we all need healing to our heart. Everyone could use some healing to our heart. I think it is such a beautiful start with most people who don't even know where to begin or where to start. And that's it's like a gentle way into being able to, unlayer some things and get to know yourself a whole lot better. So that was this plant that we explored while we were in Peru with Ariana during the retreat. A lot of people were telling me they wanted to do, I want to do ayahuasca, I want to do ayahuasca. So like, for them to even know like there was something else other than that in Peru, it was like shocking to them. It's like, it's so many plants, everybody, like, but that's what we're here for. Like, we're here to like talk about that, and we're here to share that. Like, it's just so vast, and when you don't know, you don't know. So I just want everyone to know, like, you see the videos on the Aya, like, there's so many other plants out here that we can explore, and we can do it in a beautiful sacred ceremony. And it's a beautiful benefit when you're doing it in ceremony. And I feel like it's so important to be able to have someone that have that knows and works with the plant. And so that's why ceremonies are important, because you're dealing with people who are masters of this plant, so they know the consciousness. Like, plants are conscious, like they are alive just like me and you. So to have a master that knows this plant and knows what it's going to do, and to help you and assist you while you're in your journey, is so beautiful. It's like it is a different aspect versus you trying something yourself, and you don't know what's coming up, and you don't know how to talk about it. You don't know what you're feeling, but to have someone there that can help and assist you. That's why ceremonies are important. I think the ceremony is just as important also, and the integration afterwards is just as important as well. So like, a lot of people say, oh, I bought something off of the internet and I'm going to sit with it, and they don't know how to process all these things that can come up.
And there's so much that goes into it, even from the preparation.
Yeah.
Just like, who's preparing the medicine, who's working with it, and I'm not going to say everyone in the Andes does these, because that's not true. I'm sure that there are also maluse of plant medicine. But if you go to the right people, these people usually come from a lineage where they've been, taking these plant medicines since they were children, and the medicine literally lives through them and through their ancestry. And they have this beautiful relationship with the plant. And there's songs that are sang, icaros that are sang while preparing the medicine, that it just makes it more potent.
Yes.
When there's that sacred relationship there. I feel like sometimes here we don't see that as much, where we've kind of forgotten that nature truly is like a breathing, living organism that is constantly responding to us. And if we look at even like the small aspects of that, of like going outside, maybe you go out to nature and you're having a hard day and a butterfly passes by, right? Or like the wind flows through, and it's like, we don't pay attention to these details, but nature is constantly in communication and in dialogue with us.
Yes, it is.
So because nature is alive, she also gets to choose who she wants to work with, and in what moment she wants to work with them as well. And we often forget that part too, right? Where sometimes they say like, someone can serve you the medicine, but not necessarily is the medicine going to be working with you through that.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to go to someone that has that respect from like the beginning process of it till the end.
Yeah, that's so important. And I think Derek does a lot with the integration part of it. So would you want to explain a little bit more about like why the integration part is important?
Yeah, well, the integration is definitely important all the time, because plant medicines, constellations, any type of ceremonies that we do open us up to information. And as we get the information can be overwhelming, especially when we're doing plant medicines, because so many things happen in that altered state of consciousness. So many things come up that we don't really know what to do with them. So we have to really stop and pause after any plant medicine, after any constellations, to really just first observe what we saw and then digest it. And then begin to figure out, and this is integration, how to actually use what we received in everyday life. So integration is so important, because we get so many messages from different medicines, from ceremonies, from constellations, that we need to be able to take the time to understand what we're getting, decipher it, and then see how we can actually use that information in everyday life. Now, sometimes it's difficult, because when you get signs and symbols, it's very hard to understand what you were actually getting, so you don't know what to integrate. And that's why it's important to work with someone who has seen the different signs and symbols through constellation work, through medicine work, through ceremonies, whatever. But it's very important that you take the information that you receive, and this is the third time I'm saying this, take the information that you receive and integrate it into everyday life. How can you use that in everyday life? Because that's what creates the transformation. So you can go into these medicines, you can get a beautiful vision of who you are and where you came from and what you're supposed to be doing.
And then what do you do with that?
Exactly.
Wow.
You get the steps, but then you don't follow the steps.
Exactly.
And that's what's integration.
I think we think that sometimes plant medicine is like a magic potion, and it's like, it's just not. It's just like, it gives you the clarity.
It gives you clarity.
It gives you clarity. in order for then just to step into your own life and then actually begin, taking different steps. And that's the hardest part, is that our ego is always going to be present, and we like comfort and we like for things to be the same.
Right, exactly.
So we still
like
have the
that
option to
familiar.
go back.
And have you noticed that every time you do a major ceremony, every time you do a major medicine or a major constellation, and you get a major understanding or vision about yourself, there's always a test that comes afterwards.
100%.
Always a test.
Always.
We were just
Every
saying
time.
that.
Every
Yes.
time. Because your body has to believe what you're seeing. So your brain can cognitively say, hey, I want to change. But then your body is basically holding the memories in the cells. So if you don't do something different, have a new action, then the body says that you want to go back. So the body says, wait a minute, you want to change from this? Let me give you an example. You have a test. If you want to change, you have to do something different to show me that you want a different experience. You want to experience and live what you saw in the vision. So you got to make the steps, but that's only done through action.
It is done, and it's so important to be able to have a mentor that can kind of hold your hand for some time, because that's the hardest part. It's like coming back and being faced with that test. And then sometimes we think like, maybe it just didn't work. But it's like, no, it's just like you were confronted with what are you going to do? What path are you going to take? And usually, just because the ego always wants to keep us safe and in the known, we just remain the same. And making that conscious choice of like letting go of maybe the job that is not serving you anymore, letting go of the relationship that hasn't been serving you, it can be difficult. It can be difficult to break through those patterns. So being able to have someone that can kind of handhold you a bit through that process, I feel is a really important part. Because when you don't know what is happening or like what to integrate, you just
because it comes fast. And so many things are coming. And well, okay, this is a choice, that's a choice, and this is a good choice, this is a bad choice, this is a choice to go back, this is a choice to go forward, and then you're like, well, what do I want? And that's why it's so important that I learned from the ancestors to set intentions and hold yourself to those intentions, because you can always go back to your intention. You can always find your way. You can always remember, okay, this is the steps I need to take, because I got the vision and I got the way. But now I just have to remember.
So you just made me remember something about you got the vision. So we know our ancestors are helping us. So would you say the medicine reveals the wound, and the ancestors help reveal that story, and the integration helps transform both of them?
Yes. Because as we heal, the ancestors heal. That's why we're all connected. So it's not like we're living here and the ancestors are passed on, and we're not, because the ancestors' memory lives in us. And how does it live in us? Because we have something called blood that runs through our body. Blood has DNA. DNA has different characteristics, just like the color of your eyes, the texture of your hair, the color of your skin. The DNA holds memory as well. I mean, you can literally, I've done tests and worked with scientists that actually have done tests where they can take a piece of DNA that is overjoyed and it has a certain action from someone. They can take that DNA over to France from right here in America. And if it's my DNA and I'm happy, the DNA is acting in a happy way. If I get sad, that DNA acts sad. And it's thousands of miles away from me. Because it's still a part of me. So the ancestors are still a part of you. So it's so much, it's healing. It goes back and forth. It's so powerful when you really stop and think about it.
So the pain, the heartaches, the heartbreaks, the sickness. So it's safe to say that all of that will continue to go on through generations until someone is willingly to consciously recognize that, to change it.
100%.
You have to be conscious, or either to continue just go on through your lineage.
And we have to understand that our ancestors don't want us to continue repeating their patterns. They don't want us to hold the pain that they already have endured, that they've already have gone through. But out of this, when we're children and we're looking at our parents struggling, out of love for them, we say, I'll carry this for you. I can see how hard this is on you, so I'll take it. As a kid, as a child, we're always like looking to compensate. We're trying to, that's where also we begin developing our savior complex and all these different things, because it's too much for our system to see the suffering that is around. It's like we can't hold that in that time. So we want to try to fix it for them. But then we grow up and we become an adult and we feel overburdened, and we have like, we're feeling overly responsible for everyone in our life. Or especially as women, we become the mother of everyone and we're trying to mother our partners and we're trying to mother everyone around us. And that savior complex, really, I think that's one of the biggest things that I see when working with people and women, especially in this space, and it's something that is important to look at. But it's understanding that our ancestors don't want us to continue these patterns, but we have to begin looking at them and bringing them into the conscious level. And one thing that constellation gives us access to is that, because people will ask me, like, how could I be loyal to a great grandmother that I never even met? And how do and what am I being loyal to? So through the constellation work, and this is why I love doing them in person, is because I get to see, you might have never met this great grandmother, but when you see her in your constellation, there is a bond and a connection there that is palpable. Like you can feel that, like I'll have someone just see their great grandmother and they start tearing up and they start to have this humongous release by seeing them, and they can see, it's almost like they become aware in that moment of like, oh my God, I too have been living your life. I am sharing your destiny, So, and that's where like you get to make a different choice. And you get to say to them, like, out of my love for you, I will choose myself now. I will choose my own life. And they feel like, oh my God, thank goodness. I never wanted this on you.
Going down the path.
Exactly.
Wow.
So then it's like, then we can be connected to them, not through pain and suffering and struggle, but through love, like through it just allows us to have this reframe when we can start bringing these things to the conscious level. It's like we start to receive their gifts, their strengths, their qualities. They have so many good qualities to be able to give to us as well, that we often forget because we're so focused on like witnessing all the hard things about it, which we do need to look at, because I think a lot of the times I see some people that just feel like they're in this repetitive cycle that they're like, I don't know how to get out of this. And we have to understand is that these repetitive cycles run so deep. They run very deep. It's usually repetitive cycles that our mothers have been living, our grandmothers have been living. But
don't forget about the fathers now.
Oh yes, the fathers too.
And the grandfathers.
Yes, the fathers too.
I know you work with the women.
No, actually,
we hold our role too.
No, it is so important, because oftentimes the masculine has been so pushed out, so cast out, that women, it's like the thing that you reject is the thing that you end up having to amplify. It amplifies in your life, and it's if I'm rejecting the masculine, I will amplify that. Like I can actually become more masculine because I'm rejecting that very thing.
Yes.
And
it's always the mirror.
Yeah, it is always a mirror. Yeah. So sadly, in many sessions that I see is that, yes, I have like the person who's coming to constellate, mom is right here and strong, so strong. And then dad is like far away, and it's just, and a lot of the times it's because the women haven't given the man the space to be able to come in and have their role. Some men don't have permission to stay in certain families,
especially if they haven't exercised or been able to exercise in a valid part of their role. They haven't been able to exercise the role of masculine energy, because a lot of times unfortunately the masculine energy has been suppressed so much that it's very confused. And a lot of the women, because they're nurturers and they're the patriarchs, they're the ones that literally come up and they begin to adopt the masculine role. And that's where I think we are getting out of balance. And I think we need to really focus on both sides playing their role, not being
it is so important.
But we have to understand each person holds a role. There's a masculine energy and there's a feminine energy. And that doesn't mean masculine can't be feminine and the feminine can't
Yes.
be masculine. What I'm saying is the energies have to be balanced.
And it's so true, because I have moms who will come to Constellation and they'll say, my kids. I have to remind them, no, it's our kids, right? Where is the dad in this?
Right.
It took both of you to be able to create,
Yes.
you know, your children. They're both equally as important. And oftentimes when they come to the Constellation, I tell them they want to see something that's an issue that's happening with their son or their daughter. And they think that it's just going to be them and their kids. And I'm like, and where's the dad? We have to bring him forth, you know? And oftentimes if there has been a rejection towards the dad, because sometimes, you know, because of true reasons, the woman just cannot have this man in her life. But when that's been rejected in that way, again, when we talk about in one of the first principles in systemic work is inclusion. And the inclusion doesn't mean that you're going to keep a bad person in your life, but it means that you're going to heal that within yourself, so you're not rejecting them. It's like you can still, he can still be over here and I can still be over here, and there can be that boundary, but it's not coming from a space of rejection or hatred or resentment, you know?
I love that you said that it comes from a space of boundaries
and
not rejection. And that's something that we have to really understand. We can have healthy boundaries. And if somebody's truly not going to be of the best interest, then we can keep them in the boundary. But we don't want to assume that everyone is going to have that energy or live through that negative energy that you've experienced from them. We have to let that go.
Exactly, because one thing that is really important is that if for some reason, valid reason, you know, your partner is not a healthy man to be able to stay, and if he becomes an exclusion to the family, when you have your son, your daughter, usually out of blind love, they're going to follow the path of that father, you know, that was cast out. And then that's where you get a lot of the times the sons that, even though maybe they didn't even grow up with dad, they have the same features, they have the same actions,
mechanism.
And it's not that dad was around, is that dad was not around, you know? So he comes as a reminder to the mother, we have to heal this. That is a DNA.
DNA is holding it strong for a reason.
Exactly.
Everything has to be healed.
And that is something that a lot of women fight about, you know, because they want to choose to be angry, but it's like that anger is now being passed on to their kids. And it's recognizing that, yes, maybe the actions were bad and all those things, and you have the right to maintain that space, and that space is needed. But, you know, still have a picture of him around for your kids, you know, remind them that their life was possible because both of you
existed,
you know?
Yes.
And it's so important.
That's where that Watuma comes in.
Exactly.
That Watuma will help out because it's going to open your heart to see the bigger picture. And once you begin to see the bigger picture, then you can take certain actions if you choose to. And one thing you said about anger, we don't realize how many people or how many of us actually act or can only operate out of the energy of anger or low vibrational frequency or lower vibrational emotion, because that is what motivates us. And then when we get into a high vibration, we don't really know what to do with it. And again, that's where the test comes in, that familiarity comes back, and you can be angry again. But we always want to constantly look at ourselves, and I think that's something that the constellations, the medicines, all those things do.
I definitely feel that Watuma, it's almost impossible to be angry in the medicine. Like it just you recognize, you're like, why am I holding this on? The earth is so beautiful, and there's so much beauty in this world. Like, what am I? And I'm still holding to this resentment that maybe happened like 20, 30 years ago. Like, it's like it does allow you to expand your ability to see, you know. And I think it's just such beautiful medicine, because we need that, you know, when hard things happened, out of our own self-protection, we want to keep that memory. It's like we want to hold on to that anger. We want to hold on to that resentment, because in a way we feel like it protects us.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it's doing. There's a piece that protects us, and that is part of the the autonomic nervous system that kicks in so we can stay in survival.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's
yeah.
what we have to be aware of when that happens.
Yeah.
And the thing that I remind people is that all those protections that we put on ourselves that we think are good for us, it's like, because I imagine it as like these layers and layers and layers of protection. Is like, we also, if we're going out in the world and we have all these layers of protection, how is abundance going to come in? How is life going to flow in?
Yeah.
How are new things going to come in when we are literally, it doesn't just protect us from the bad, it protects us from the good.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
You have a cloak over you.
Exactly. And also, and really, you're amplifying more of that bad because that's the energy that you're stuck in.
Yes. And speaking of the energy that you're stuck in, I'm meeting so many people who are asking me, like, I didn't even know that I needed to heal anything. Like, what, like, I'm just hearing about all this healing within like the last 4 or 5 years. It's everywhere. And this is someone talking to me. I come from a loving family, both my mother and my father, grandparents, a loving background, and we all just loved on each other. And when we saw someone with a certain behavior or pattern, we just looked at it as though that was that part of that person's personality. And we just learned to love them, or learn to live with them, or learn to, just go around it. But they're measuring their healing based off of what kind of experiences that they've had. And so they're not thinking in a sense of they need to heal anything, really, because they're just, they just don't know, like, that this exists, So that's why we have to continue to talk about it. Like, when you bring the awareness to, you can step back and see some things, like,
I think you're talking about, like, we have normalized so many things,
yes,
so many behaviors,
yes,
that because we think that's the way we grew up,
yes,
we think that that's just the way.
That's just the way, and
But
there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And so, as we're talking about this and we're explaining that some things do need to be brought up into the surface, because it has been a pattern that has been unconsciously passed down to you, and you've inherited, and you don't even know.
To where it's normal.
To where it's normal. Exactly.
One of the sad things that I've seen happen in family dynamics is this. There's that, and I'm going to go someplace that's touchy. There's that one relative, usually an uncle or a cousin or someone, that is molesting the little girls. And instead of the family dealing with it, they normalize it and they just kind of shun them and put them off to the side, but then don't talk about it.
Yes.
And then the next niece or nephew comes up, and their parents that don't know the story leaves the kid with the uncle or the grandfather. And then he begins to take advantage of them. And it just keeps going, and people say, well, that's just how they are. And I'm just like, how can that just be how someone is? This got to stop. And it's like, anytime there's abuse of anybody, children or adults, it needs to stop.
Yes,
and
I agree.
It needs to be talked about.
I agree.
But all these things are just covered up in our lineage sometimes because we don't want to deal with things, and we just normalize behaviors in ourselves. Just kind of going someplace that's deep, because that's a behavior that's normalized.
Yes,
it's normalized, and sadly, a lot of the times, like, out of this, because we're tribal beings, and one of our biggest tribal behaviors is belonging, right? So maybe if I do speak out, then I'm going to be cast out.
Right.
So we end up normalizing a lot of things because of our native need to belong.
Yes.
Exactly.
And it's very subconscious. We're not doing this at a conscious level.
Say that again.
Yeah. We are not doing this at a conscious level at all.
This is not conscious.
No.
And it becomes an unconscious behavior that becomes normalized.
Yeah.
It becomes even more suppressed, and it just continues to happen. So these are the things we have to begin to look at. And some of the work that I do is helping you to feel safe enough to even look at these things. So my whole belief is making the nervous system feel safe enough to the point where you can actually go into these places and really get grounded, so that you can say, okay, it's okay for me to look at something that's uncomfortable. It's okay for me to go against the grain. It's okay for me to think about speaking up before you even speak up. So it's very important to understand those things.
That's so important, because oftentimes, like, if we're, sometimes we start I think talk therapy really helps in the fact of at least I'm able to talk about it.
Right.
But then there's a next step of like now feeling through it, right?
Exactly.
And you have to feel safe enough to be able to go into the depths of that part, because a lot of the times that part has been fragmented, has been left behind, and being able to come to bring that part again.
You're going to different parts of timelines, dimensions, every place to get this information back. That's been part of you. That's been basically separated from this at a soul level from lifetimes. And it goes into so many different aspects of pieces of us that we're trying to bring back to ourselves. But we have to feel safe enough to do that, because that can be a journey in itself. And I know, using some of the medicines, help you to see a lot of that. And let's talk about psilocybin. How do you feel about that when it comes to using that after Wachuma or with Wachuma, or even going into constellations?
Yeah, I love doing microdoses. I think microdosing on psilocybin works amazing, because I mean, really at a neurological level, it's helping you to be able to, my friend calls it like, it allows your brain to be more mushy. So, it's like mushrooms. So, but it's like more receptive, to be able to create new patterns, new behaviors. And as we were talking about, like after a big, whether that is constellation work, whether that is like a healing retreat that you went to, or a plant medicine, you have a lot to integrate, and life is going to test you, right? So I feel like doing microdoses really helps to
help that integration.
It really helps that integration.
Because it rewires the neurons in your brain, so you can think differently, and
exactly
you begin to say, okay, no, actually I can do this.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's so supportive with that. Sometimes it amazes me just how supportive it is to be able to do that. I also feel that it keeps my heart more open. Like it just keeps my energy more available and more receptive. It allows my connection with nature to also be more, it's like I'm more receptive to everything around me, to myself and everything around me as well. I feel more connected to my creativity, my emotionality. I feel for people that really struggle with their vulnerability and their emotions and their ability to express themselves. It really helps with that as well. But for integration, I feel that it's a really, really helpful tool.
Absolutely. And I know for some who would never think about sitting with plants, we take so much medicine on a daily of names that we can't even pronounce. And we'll be quick to take that, but we'll be scared of a plant that has been around for thousands of years, that has been proven. Our ancestors proved that it works, and it's here to help us, and it's here to help work with us. But we're, afraid to tap back into that. I feel like plant medicines, and especially psilocybin, help me to embody my healing, because you're going to expand, and you're releasing, and you're entering into a new version of everything, and the neurons get reconnected and rewired, and that helps you to embody what you just healed from. So I think once we just open up our minds and open up our hearts, and knowing that everything that our Creator created is for us to use, and it's here to help assist us, and we all have an innate power that's within us. It's cosmic intelligence. We all have a cosmic consciousness that we can tap into, but very few come on this journey to even tap into that, to even want to expand and expound, or to learn any of that. And we have a choice. We have a choice to explore that and to help ourselves. And once we unlock that, we're helping so much of our lineage just that came way before us, and that'll come after us if we just wake that up, and it's not, no one's forcing anything on you. You do have a choice and a decision to decide to do that. But when you do that, you're helping so many on your journey.
Yeah. And it's just like remembering that plant medicine is the original medicine.
Nature is the original medicine.
Like before anything, there was plants.
Yeah.
And there still is. Like everything, even like our aspirin, or everything that it comes from plants.
It's derived from plants.
It's derived from plants.
Yes.
So it's like somehow we have forgotten this.
Yes.
We have forgotten this truth, and we have become fearful of the things that are there that are there to support us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I work a lot with cacao. We were just talking about this earlier, and I've had people fear cacao, and I'm like, it is chocolate.
Did you guys hear that? When we are holding our ceremonies, we are not having you drinking cocaine. It is chocolate. Cacao is chocolate.
And what pure chocolate, you know, like unprocessed, beautiful chocolate. Like how amazing, you know, and to think that we've got into that extreme of fearing that, you know, it's like we need to come back to the truth.
Yeah.
And there's so many plants like cacao that is also a heart opener that really helps, you know, if you're too afraid. And I don't want to even say too afraid, because it took me years to step into an ayahuasca ceremony. And it's not that I was afraid. I just didn't have the calling.
You have to follow your heart.
Exactly. You know, so there's so many other plants that are beautiful, and they're gentle and beautiful if you're just beginning your journey. Like cacao, even like teas, hape. I know that was like transformative.
That's my medicine. Hape and tobacco. That's
there's just so many things, and I think for each person, what you need in precise moments is going to be different with time.
Yeah,
exactly. It's so different. And even thinking about hape, it's like it comes from such an old lineage of tradition, and how it's even made, and how it's tobacco, but it's actually mixed with other herbs to give you different properties. So the hape is something that we use to ground and bring you back into your body. So it's a very powerful energy, and it's made from tobacco. And tobacco, when I use the smoke, it's to basically clear the energy and bring in the spirit of tabaquito so that we can heal. So it's something that I love to use, and it's not where you have to smoke it. You know, you do have to take the
and it is powerful. I think for anyone who is in their awakening journey, sometimes we focus so much on ascension, and I focused on that a lot for many years.
I think for
like,
sure.
You know, that's the thing, we want to expand.
Exactly.
We want to be bigger, and not realizing we're already.
Exactly.
We're already huge. We're already everything.
Yeah, and it's like this.
Bring that back into this body is difficult.
Yeah. At a certain point, the ascension for me became dissociation.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like,
it happens.
And it happens more commonly than not. And for me, hape and going back to Peru has been like a journey back into my roots, into grounding myself to what it means to live on earth, and finding enjoyment in that, not trying to escape this reality. You know,
we want to make this reality what we're escaping into, what we're going out to escaping. But when we go into the ceremonies and we expand and we feel this universal love, and we feel this universal experience, and we can do so many things, nothing is impossible. We want to begin to bring that back into our everyday life and begin to live as if we are that energy. That's the whole purpose of being a human being. God sent us here so that we could actually experience what it is to be God from a human perspective, and he's actually getting to see how it is to be God, or he's actually being able to see how it is to be a human from a godly perspective.
Yes.
So we're both using, or we're co-creating together.
And the dangerous part of just going higher and higher and higher and higher, that you become more and more and more dissociated with your physical aspects. And we live in a physical realm. So in order to create the life that you desire, you have to be in your physical body.
Right, exactly.
So I see so many people in the spiritual community, and just like people that are in the spirituality, and they're just so focused on that. But you see their life, and it's like they don't have a good connection with money. They don't have a good relationship with the things that are here for us to be able to really create a good life for ourselves. Like, first we have to be connected to our physical being in order to be able to work in this physical realm. So I think that was a big shift for me, because I understood the concepts of manifestation. I understood the concepts of what I needed to do, and I thought I was vibrating so high, but then I'm like, when I realized, oh, but if I'm not connected to my body, then who is creating? Like,
exactly right.
like, am I here in a different dimension? Where am I at?
You know, all that abundance I'm creating.
Right.
Exactly. So I think coming back into that, which I might have seen you explain how, like, even our centers, like our upper centers are connected to our lower centers.
Mhm.
So in order to like connect our visions, we have to be connected to our root.
Yeah.
Exactly. The root is a connection to earth, but the root is also connected to the sacral, the solar plex, and the heart. And the heart's connected to the throat, the third eye, and the crown. So they all have to be connected. So it's not about just one or the other. So we have to be in balance all the way from head to toe, from the above and the below. And it all starts in the heart.
Yeah, there's so much like that comes down to what does it feel for us to be like in our human experience and in our human body? Like, are we okay with that? Are we still in resistance to that? Do we feel unsafe in our experience? Because if we're still in that space of dissociation, it's going to be really hard to be able to really bring the things that we're wanting to create into
really
existence.
It's going to be really hard.
You can't manifest in the physical if you disassociate from the physical.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. I've tried it.
Yeah, me too. I'm guilty.
From experience. We're not talking from this. Well, this is philosophy. No, we've tried it. Trust me. We when you've been on the spiritual journey as long as we have, you've tried everything.
You've tried everything.
You've tried every way to escape the physical and to make yourself become this star being and I'm bigger and better. And
which one thing I just remembered with that I see often is cutting cords. And I too, I've had to sit with my ancestors and apologize for all the cut cord of the cords that I did for so many years, because I thought that in order for me to live my own life, I had to pretty much separate myself from like, you know, the family that is running through me. And I think that also with constellation work and coming back into deeper integration is that often I see people when they begin cutting the cords, how I see it now is that those cords are actually life force energy that is flowing through us, that comes from our ancestry. And when we disconnect from that life force energy, we become a weaker link. Like we become, I often explain this, it's like a cancer cell, that a cancer cell becomes a cancer cell because it forgets that it's part of the whole.
Yeah.
You know, it starts separating itself, and it becomes a weaker link. So it becomes cancerous. And oftentimes I see people that have, you know, they're not okay with their mom, they're not okay with their dad, they're not okay with their family at all. They say they're not like them,
right.
You know, and all these things. And then I put them in a constellation and their energy, their life force is weak. Like they're not able to sustain their own life because the life force that's there for us comes from our ancestry.
Come on now.
Yeah. So, and I want to say that, you know, I too have come from hard experiences, and which is one of the reasons that I went and started you know, cutting every cord that I possibly could imagine. But the reality is that we're here to be able to integrate that. We do not have to carry the pain, you know, as I said earlier, but we can't reject you know, it's like, it's the family that we chose to incarnate with. And they're here, we chose them for our purpose, you know, for our benefit, for us to be able to grow and learn and be able to in many ways complete our purpose here. So reconnecting with that life force is really essential. And that means coming back into rootedness with ourselves as well. You know, and I see that often in constellation where someone will come in and they're so dissociated that when they see their family come to life, first of all, they don't want to open their eyes, or when they do open their eyes, they feel like there's no connection. Like there's absolutely no connection. And it's like repairing that again. And again, that doesn't mean that because you're repairing these connections means, oh, now I'm going to have a perfect relationship with my mother and my father. No, the reality is you might not have a connection with them in the physical, like, you know, as maybe somebody else. But one thing that is true is that when you heal, you are affecting your whole entire lineage. I see it as like this, we are part of a tree. And when I heal, if I'm a branch, I'm going to affect the rest of the tree, you know? And I see that as an example of my own life of when I first started the spiritual journey, my parents thought I had gone crazy. They were so against everything that I was doing. They were like, I've lost my mind. And I needed that separation from them for that time being, for me to remember myself and come back deeper to myself. But then as I started focusing on my own healing, I started to notice direct changes in my family. And it wasn't that I was talking about it or trying to, you know, let them know everything that I was moving through, but there was real change that was happening that I got to witness. And, you know, the years that I've come back to Peru and them coming with me, I'm like, oh my God, like I never thought this was possible, but it is such a confirmation of that when you're doing the work, it's directly affecting everyone else.
Yeah, and anything is possible.
And anything and everything is possible.
Yeah. Wow.
Because my parents went from not understanding and really being against what I was doing to now being like my biggest supporters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful to see all of that healing. And we got to witness that in Peru.
Yes.
Like, oh, just a major shout out and so much love to your family for their assistance. This made this such a remarkable time and moment for all of us. Like, it's so many things that I learned on that. I don't even think retreat is like the right word, honestly, like, because it's just so much more than that. But if I could have everybody like talk about what their most memorable thing happened, I'll start with me. I felt so much love. I felt so supported by nature. It was just a reminder that everything is living around me, that there is, like, when we talk about the omniscience and the presence, and you really felt that in Peru, like there was nothing that was existing that you couldn't feel God in. That was so profound for me. And it was so many aha moments or awe moments of just riding through the beautiful mountains, seeing the traditions still carried on, just even being able to communicate with the plants just by being still. And then the hiking was very gentle, and you don't know where you were going to get the strength, and you can look up and see how far you have to go. But just trusting and knowing that you were going to have all of the strength to help lift you up there, and trusting that. And that's exactly what happened. It was so beautiful. I got so many I could go on, but I'll let you guys talk about yours.
Yeah, I can. You want to go first?
I mean, I can go first. I mean, there's so many things. Truly, I think it was an experience for me, just working through with the plants, and then also having my family there. Because like I was coming home, you know, after that trip and seeing my mother and my father and my family, you know, which was an interesting experience for me as well, very healing experience, because it's like I was confronted with like, how am I going to be here with dinner with them? You know, like, how am I seeing them? Where am I still kind of rejecting aspects of them? You know, what parts of them still annoy me, or which are many, you know, but getting to see that was also really beautiful. I would have to say, like, having retreat and having them there, you know, actively triggering me to test me, like, okay, how well am I integrating the medicine was beautiful.
In real time
happening. But yes, I mean, as you said, like Peru, I feel like nature is alive everywhere, but there is something about when you are in, especially like in the Andes, in Sacred Valley, is that because the traditions have been so well maintained, and these specific apus, these mountains for them are master teachers for them, and they go and they give them gratitude, they give them offerings. It's like their energy is so palpable, like it's so alive. You know, I do feel that maybe here, these spaces that are sacred are a little more dimmed, because it's like people don't give them this, they don't give them the same respect, the same love, the same, you know? So I almost feel like they're kind of like sleeping. Where over there, they're just like active and ready to play.
Right.
You know? Because exactly, they're wide open, and And that's one beautiful thing too, is like when you're working with the right people and you're going to these spaces, you don't need much plant medicine because the space is working with you, you know, and every mountain has its own medicine, its own energy. And it truly is. Like, I've had experiences where if I'm going with the intention of I'm wanting to learn resilience, like I'm going to learn resilience, you know, because everything in the mountain is the climate is going to change. Everything is going to happen for me to receive what my intention, what I went in for. But Peru always reminds me a lot of humility for me. Like, that was one of, especially going back about, 4 years ago, I remember coming in and thinking like I was high on my horse. I had done all the spiritual work. And then when I get there, something in me was like, God, I'm over my ego. Like it's like they treat everything and everyone with such humility that it reminds you to go back to that.
Wow.
It reminds you to, even I was speaking to Shaman about this, like the way that they even open space is like comes from such a humble heart.
Wow.
The things that Alfredo says, it's just how they go about everything is just with such deep humility. And I think I needed to be reminded of that, because I think sometimes in the spiritual journey you realize, oh my God, yeah, I'm this big self, like I am also, a God is in me, but then you have to remember I'm not as big as I think. I'm just a small fragment of really what everything. So Peru for me is always that. It humbles me. Every year that I go back, it humbles me even more, and it teaches me that that in many ways I'm barely starting, that I'm barely beginning, that every time I think I've accomplished something or I've reached something, it's like, no, there's so much more.
Yeah.
There's just so much more. So yeah, it's so beautiful.
That's so beautiful.
Definitely, that's a beautiful story, and just piece of information to help us get better understanding. For me, the moment we were on Kumawaka and the altitude was getting a little high, and all of a sudden I touched a rock and just kind of to support myself, and all of a sudden I felt this surge of energy come through my hand, into my arm, into my chest, and my lungs opened up and my body got stronger. And I was like, whoa, what is happening here? So for me to really experience the life in the mountains, the Apus, that actually gave me energy to keep me going. And on that mountain, it felt like something was pulling the whole group up. And there was literally, after that moment, there was no fatigue, there was no tiredness, no short of breath. It was just fun times and enjoying everything that was happening. And once we really started working with the medicines, then that's when everything got really very, very, very physically easy. And so opening to, my mind was so open to allowing the help of the mountain and just surrendering. So that was the key factor for me, was the moment I actually realized that the mountain, the earth, was actually supporting me and actually pulling me up into a place so that we could find our own wholeness and wholeness. So that for me was something that was very, very, very powerful. That surrender and just knowing that you're being supported. And then you have to take that and integrate that to everyday life.
That was one of the first, like when I went back, when my first time I went to Pumahuanca, that was like one of the biggest realizations that I had too. Is that I don't have to do this on my own. If I do this on my own, I will wear myself out. This will be so hard. I don't know how I'm going to make it. But if I just surrender, if I just surrender and allow myself to be held by something bigger, it holds you.
It does.
You can feel the ancestors that were buried in that mountain. And that mountain, if we understand our DNA again, when our bodies begin to decompose and become earth again, that energy is going into the mountain. So all of those ancestors are still living. That mountain is a living mountain. And we have to realize that, again, we're just a small piece of the puzzle. And there's so many things that are out there that will assist us if we just surrender.
Absolutely.
Surrender is the big key factor for me is surrender. I don't have to do it all on my own.
Yes.
I have supportive energies, not just people, but the earth, the cosmos, what's inside of me is calling on the help. Sometimes we're blocking that.
And I think it goes back to what I was saying with like the humility of like knowing like I'm just a small aspect. And if I can do that and I allow myself to remember that life is so much bigger than me, then I can be held by something bigger. If I think I'm the big thing and I'm the creator, I am this, I am that, then I end up doing everything on my own. I think that I'm the one doing it. And it's like, we're not the doer.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's why the concept is we are, not I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, indeed. We are.
Us, the people, the universe, the earth, everything.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to understand. We are a fraction of
it. Such a fraction. And I see that so much with constellation, and it happens about every time where just the same way that we believe ourselves bigger than life and bigger than these things, and we forget our part. We do that even with our parents, where we become our parents' parents. And because of that, we, again, going back to the savior complex, it's like we start to get ourselves bigger. But with that, we are holding on to so much responsibility. It feels like it becomes to feel such like a burden. We feel like, why am I always having to do this on my own? Why do I feel like I'm, and it's like we forget that we're supposed to be held by something bigger.
Yes, indeed.
So it's just like, as you said, it's like, it's in our everyday life. It's in our everyday. I do this practice where when I feel frustrated with life, because I feel that maybe I'm getting caught up in just like maybe things are not going accordingly or something, and I start to get into my own frustrations, I get a pillow, I put myself on my knees in a surrender position. literally, it gets to that. It works. And I imagine something in front of me being life, right? And I make myself as small as I can. And I just say, I surrender. I allow life to flow however you want to flow. I surrender.
That's beautiful.
And it takes all the pressure out of like feeling like I need to now go do this, and that. It's like, no, I surrender, I let go. And then I can open space for a new clarity to come in, and I have to remind myself quite often of that.
And that's good. That's good to remind yourself of that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. I would like to encourage anyone to try something different. In no way, form, or fashion am I telling you to go out, and I just want you to try something different. Follow your heart. When you think about, if you watch our videos and you saw the hiking, someone said to me, I wouldn't be able to do that hike. You would be so surprised. Nature is asking us to return back to it. It's literally waiting for us to arrive. When you get there, I'm a hiker, right? Not in my mind at one point did I think that I couldn't do a particular hike. I felt so supported. It just a vast energy that came around me. And I just knew that I was there for a reason. And I didn't have to think in my mind too much of how I was going to get up to the top of the mountain. I felt loved. I felt like I'm here on this journey and I'm going to get the help that I need. So when I say I'm encouraging you to try something different, your heart may be calling you, I really would like to try that or do that. Go with it. Like, how would you know if you don't try something different or change something, and you're aware, like you see it and you've been following, you could be following for years and say, I want to do it. Just go ahead and purchase it and stay out of your mind, purchase the ticket, and everything will work itself out. You are so supported by your ancestors, your spirit guides, like everyone is here helping you on this journey to get the healing that you need, and you will be supported if you just take that chance to just go ahead and book that ticket, and everything else will align itself.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for coming, and I want you to kind of just, first of all, everybody, like, share, and comment on this podcast. And Ariana, could you tell people how they can get in contact with you?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram. It's just Ariana Malilay is my full name. And as I said, we have an upcoming retreat in August, which is going to be on 8/8. It just kind of landed to be on that really special day, which will be a women's retreat, really focused on ancestral constellations. And then we have the Spain retreat in September. So yeah, Instagram, kind of the best way to reach out. Yeah.
Yes, Ariana, thank you so much for your heart. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for you being on this journey and wanting us to experience that with you. That was such a beautiful time, and just something that I'll always hold dear in my heart.
Yeah.
That was just so much healing and wisdom and just pure joy that we got to experience with that. And I want everyone to know, to remember that healing is remembrance. Nature is our medicine. We have become so disconnected from nature, from earth, from our ancestors. And it's time to bring awareness back to that. And let's get back connected. Let's get back into our heart. Let's get back into remembering why we are here. Thank you all for joining this episode of Awakening Cosmic Souls podcast. I hope that you get something out of this. Remember to share, to like it, to leave a comment. Join our pages. We will announce some of the upcoming things that we have in the next retreat. You don't want to miss that one.
For sure. Just remember, plants are not here to heal us. They're here to actually show us how. It's not what we get from the ceremony. It's what we do with what we get after the ceremony. So just remember that. And again, thank you all for joining Awakening Cosmic Souls. Thank you, Ariana.
Thank you,
you.
Ariana. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angel.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Shaman Rah.
And we appreciate you. And I like to say, Ahava Shlema, peace
and
light.
love.
And we'll see you next time.
Welcome to Awakening Cosmic Souls podcast, Season 2.
Where spiritual practitioners share their perspectives and practices, shaping new earth living.
Not doing,
just
being.
being.